Hey guys, 7 Ninja 7, and today we'll be talking about a guide on how to be Marco Rossi. Marco Rossi is known to be a handgun specialist. Literally, that's the best thing he's good at. If you ever check out the wiki, or ever play Metal Slug Double X, or Metal Slug 627, they always talk about how Marco is the best with a handgun. And that is true. So the build is really based off how can I play Marco around the idea that he's using a handgun? Well, that means I can't pick up another weapon or a long gun. I can't have a heavy machine gun. I can't do any of that. But I can focus on handguns. So let's get into the actual loadout. To start off, we want to go with the Power 45. The Power 45 is the closest thing to the Murder .50 AE. The Murder .50 AE, it's kind of described as like a Desert Eagle, but it's also described as a 1911. And so, if I wanted to get as close as possible to what the gun is like, or the way the gun is described, I went with the Power 45, and originally I had my heavy weapon be a Desert Eagle. Now, here's the problem though. I ran into an issue where I was like, it's taking too long and too many bullets to take something down with the Desert Eagle versus something called the Barrack. And I was like, alright, even though the Desert Eagle works in a sense of how the gun's described, I'm like, I want something that's a little more practical, but it'll still keep me in the idea that I am using a handgun. And that's why I went with the Barrack. The Barrack takes 2 rounds to down somebody versus a Desert Eagle takes 3. It's faster rate of fire, but it hits a lot weaker than the Barrack does. So, going off that, I've told you about the power, and I've told you why I chose my heavy weapon. I chose grenades because every Metal Slug character that you see as the main protagonist is carrying a grenade of some kind, but they're always carrying grenades, right? I told you, I chose Stealth 3 because one of the things I noticed when I was playing Metal Slug is that a lot of times you'll be walking up in an area and your enemies just don't see you. And so it leads me to believe that this is always a stealth operation. It's a suicide mission, but it's always a stealth operation. So I decided, let's go that route. I also chose Scavenger 2 because, well, let's be real, you're supposed to have unlimited ammo. What's the best way to have unlimited ammo on Metal Slug? Well, not Metal Slug, but Uncharted. Well, why don't we use Scavenger to get as much ammo as possible? Yeah, I'd go to level 3, but I'm most likely not going to be that far out from my enemy using my pistol. Although the power is pretty good on recoil, I still probably won't be that far out too often on recoil. So you're probably wondering, why do I have Farmer? Farmer 2 is really just so I can get as much money as possible whenever someone just decides to drop a stalker or whatever. I can get as much money as possible. I can also get cooldown on my grenade. Remember, you're supposed to originally have like 10 in the actual Metal Slug game, but considering you can't actually do that in Uncharted, the best thing to do is to get your cooldown as fast as possible so that you can get your grenades as much as possible. The reason I'm really using Rope Master 2 is so I can use my Barrack while I'm using Rope Swing. Sure, I'm not always going to use it, but if I want to have the ability to use my pistol at all times, I might as well have the Barrack, not Barrack, but Rope Master 2 to help out with that. So you probably also noticed like who I chose for Marco Rossi. But the main reason I chose him was he's the main protagonist and Drake's the main protagonist. No, there's no way to get blonde hair on Drake, but I was like, I can kind of get as close as possible on Drake with the current costume, so I'm going to go with this. Yeah, I was looking for another character to use because I didn't just want to use Drake just because, but I ended up thinking, well, what's the best thing I use, and therefore it was Drake, right? So I know the other question you're probably asking yourself right now is like, Ninja, why are you doing videos on an old game that's Uncharted 4? Well, here's the thing. Look, during, COVID, right, during this, we kind of have to find something to do. And there's not a lot of new games that's coming out. And so I was like, alright, well, let me go back to an oldie. Uncharted was my first shooter. It was literally the first thing I ever got into on PlayStation. Found a good group and stuff on here, so I kind of was just like, might as well just see what happens on here. And I kind of was like, alright, I'm kind of enjoying this again. Main reason is, besides the fact that I took a break on the game, I'm kind of enjoying it because it's like, it's rare for me to find a third-person shooter that just feels this good. And so I was like, alright, let me come back here again. You're probably wondering, why are you doing loadouts that are like not meta? Well, keep this in mind. Even though there is a meta on this game, sure, that's 100% true, I'm not going to deny it. The problem I have with running with a meta on a game like this is that it's too stale. Everyone's running this anyway. You're gonna figure out what the meta is simply by playing the game the first couple of days. Why would I do the meta when there's so many other guns in the game that I can be successful with? No, I'm not gonna bring it into like ranked play, sure, but I could, and I can probably do well with it. But here's the thing: if I'm playing ranked play, I'm probably not gonna play that by myself anyway. So keep that in mind. But like, you know, I was just sitting there thinking like, all right, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's not work with the meta. Let's try to build a character, if it's possible. Build the character and try to act as that character would inside the game. And so that's why I'm doing this new series. It's not. I had another series called Pick Your Poison where I just designed off meta builds. But this one's gonna be the character-based build, so I might just do it like Uncharted X Metal Slug or the Uncharted crossover or something. You know, I'm actually, that sounds like a great name. I'm probably gonna call it the Uncharted crossover. But basically, that's what I decided to do with this series. Also, let's get into. So let's give you a little guide here. Just some tips that you may want to do in order to succeed with the Marco Rossi build. So the way Marco works is that you're wanting to be stealthy. You're gonna want to sneak behind your enemy and just like take them off one by one. It's not really going to drag aggro towards you in a sense, but you will be able to help your team by flanking. You're pretty much being a flanker, a Rambo, if you will. And that's really going to be your main job. You can go head up with like, you know, a hordes of enemies. It's just more or less it makes it harder for you. So it's like, you know, play stealthily and take on something when you have to. But remember though, every build I make still relies on the player having some at least decent skill. Because no matter what build you get, even if you have a meta build, it's still not going to help you win if you don't know how to play. If you don't know how to have player awareness. If you don't have that, you're not going to win just because you have a build. So keep that in mind. But other than that, that's pretty much the build. That's the guide that this is designed. I'm going to be doing another one on a villain in Metal Slug called Alan O'Neill. But I will make sure you guys can see my ending stats, so you know that I do know what I'm talking about. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. I take pleasure in one thing. The enemies are